All right, so this mess here is basically a brand new steering system. So I've got, what do I have here? Clean this up a little bit. Get rid of some of this older stuff. Get rid of the trash. Don't really need this. Those are already in. Those are cool. All right, so I got this kit. It's a CPP, whatever the hell that says there, whatever you can read. And that gives you new center link. Turn this camera around here. Here we go. So we got a new center link, new idler arm, and new pitman arm. I don't know about this pitman arm though. At least to me, it looks as if my old one might have a little bit more, I don't know, throw, I guess, on it. I'm not sure. Anyway, I had to replace it because, as you can see here, the old pitman arm is almost ovaled, whereas the new pitman arm has a nice clean full circle on it. Hopefully that'll show on the camera. And the reason I'm going with a new center link is because not only do we have worn and broken parts, and by the way, I cleaned all of this up, so it almost looks new. I wasn't too concerned about the wear here. And there's some wear in what I'll call the cups. And they basically sandwich the ball like so inside. So that's not so bad. What is bad though is one of the springs basically snapped and it was in there broken. So I could have gotten a repair kit and I was very tempted to do so. You can buy a kit, Dan Chuck kit, that gives you just this, the springs, these cups, and whatever these guys are called. However, upon further inspection, I've noticed that there was a good bit of wear inside my center link. So, see if we can get that visible in here. So I figured, you know, why go through all that trouble of rebuilding this? And it's not really a lot of trouble, but you get the point. Why bother rebuilding this only to have worn part, a worn center link anyway? So I decided might as well just get the whole kit, which, by the way, the CPP kit does come with a steering connecting rod dust cover with gasket. So the point is, it does come with this guy. And I'm fairly certain it sits like that. Then slip that over the ball so that resides like so. Anyway, what I'm not too happy about is holes for the inner tie rods aren't centered in, I don't know what you'd call this area, but it's not centered is the point. And they also seem a bit thinner, to me at least, in this area here. Not doing a real good job here. These are a bit awkward to handle together and still face the camera. Try that. Okay. So the distance here seems a bit thicker with the original than it does here with the CPP. Also, these are not machined surfaces, whereas the original, it doesn't really look like it was machined either, but it does feel a bit flatter and smoother. There's a bit more surface here on the original than there was here on the CPP. And where that will matter is for the tie rod ends. Maybe this won't really matter much, but let's take a look anyway. Oops. Let's see, old one. Here's the new one. And maybe it won't matter much. Okay. All right, really doesn't matter, I guess. I was concerned that the nut might be a little bit larger than this area here, because this area is obviously larger, but whatever. At least for the Moog outer tie rods, or inner tie rods, the nut seems to fit just fine there. We'll check the other side. It does look a bit smaller on this side. Again, you can really see now how off-center that hole is. Might need some light since it's black on black, but it's really kind of off-centered there. Not a big fan of that. So, could have bought all these components separately from different manufacturers, but I didn't. So I got the kit. Obviously I bought tie rod ends separately. So what I want to do is, even though these bushings are brand new, I will replace them with the Danchuck bearing kit. That's this guy here. And I don't know what's going on, but it seems rather difficult to get Danchuck parts anymore. Everywhere I've looked, they're either not on the websites or lead times like 2 or 3 weeks out. I don't know what's going on with that, but it seems to be the case as of, what month are we in? June of 2023. So the other thing I don't really care for with this is I'm almost tempted to use my old idler arms because of this. These bearings, this is what gets pressed up into the, whatchamacallits, in place of the bushings. There's a fair amount of play between the shaft and this bushing, which I suppose doesn't matter much for the existing rubber bushings, but I'm not using the rubber bushings. Another thing I don't like is, check this out. That don't fit at all. There's a bit of, I don't know what you would call it, but there's a bit of a groove worn in here already. And again, this is brand new, so this had to come from the manufacturer. And then there's a, I don't know what you'd call it, but there's a bit of a shoulder over here that needs to be filed down just in order to get this to really fit all the way on. Not real happy about that. But hey, I mean, I kind of suspected that this was made in China, and it is based on the box. So, you know, not real happy about these Chinese parts because of the lack of QA control. Quality control, whatever, you get the point. But I'll use them anyway, if nothing else, then for mock-up. I want to get the front end together so that I can get a set of wheels measured up. I need to test my steering angle, make sure that, you know, my maximums, both left and right, will clear the wheels that I want to get, or at least I'll have a better idea based on that. So even though I'm not happy with the quality of this kit, it's easy enough to replace later. And I think it was a total of like $180, $170, whatever, from Summit. So I hate to do things twice, but you know, I got to get moving forward. And if this is good enough for now, then it's good enough for now. Easy enough to replace later. All right, so I'm going to press out the bushings that came with the idler arm, the new one, so that I can put in the bearing-based bushings. Hopefully these will come out easy since they're new. Just tap on this. That's good. Let's see if we get this bushing out. Not yet. Looks like these might fit. Yeah, I think that'll work. The problem is, this is up too high. So we'll do a double, maybe. This is probably really unsafe, but it doesn't have to go that far. All right, so the bushing's out. This needs to be seated inside here to the point where this shoulder, if it'll show up, this shoulder here sits flush with these surfaces. So I've got a socket that pretty much just fits on that shoulder and is still slightly wider than the bushing, so that as I'm pressing it, it should just stop right on the shoulder. So we'll see how that goes. See how that looks with the idler on. It doesn't look too bad. I still need to file this down though. I should do that now before I forget again. And in my opinion, you really shouldn't have to do this. I think this is just poor work at the assembly in the factory. I'll take this off by hand, hopefully. Where do we go? Here we go. All right, that's better. So I had to file down this edge here. There's a bit of a bump. Prevented that from seating all the way. So problem solved. Not too bad. I mean, granted, there's going to be bearings in there anyway, but nevertheless, I'm going to make sure it fits all the way. All right, so I need a socket that'll clear this shoulder, but still sit against the idler arm. So this will sit something like so. You get this stuff set up. So it seems everything's nicely squared. Go ahead and press. So I can feel a nice even pressure. Doesn't feel like it's binding. And that should be it right there. See how it looks. It's pretty good. Looks nice and square. Let's see how the shaft fits inside. A little bit of binding, which I don't like. Actually, there's a lot of bit of binding now. This shaft is not exactly smooth. And I think this is slightly cocked. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do that by hand. See if that did any good. Pretty close. So it seems this bushing might still be slightly cocked. All right. Something's going on with this shaft. I wonder if the old one binds as much. All right, so this is the original. Figures. Smooth as butter. Which kind of tells me that it's the shaft, the new shaft. And this is one thing I was afraid might happen. These freaking Chinese parts. All right, so I thought I was recording, but I wasn't. So I've got to take all this apart again. I finally got these bushings to sit right. Well, kind of right. It's still binding right here, but it's not horrible. And I'm not going to keep filing. So anyway, another issue, following the directions, which, you know, really aren't that difficult. The directions show that the assembly order is the cupped washer, right? So this is basically sitting like this in the directions. Cupped washer, got the rubber washer in there, rubber washer. And then we take a bearing, install like so. Now that bearing sits inside, actually, got this backwards. Sits inside like so. Then we do another bearing, like so. Then we take the rubber washer. It's a little difficult to get on. The shaft is a good bit bigger than the opening. Push it all the way down. Good enough. And then the cupped washer. Oops, this isn't down all the way. All right. It's still not down all the way. All right, that's better. So I'll put the cupped washer on. And then the directions say to put on a flat washer. And I'll tighten the nut. Now this nut, obviously only hand tight. And it can't go much tighter anyway. I mean, yeah, I can torque it down, but for sake of argument, wouldn't do any good because I put the cotter pin in. See how low that nut's sitting? And we have a gap. See if that gap shows through. So I'm not certain, but it would seem to me that that gap should not be there. In other words, there should not be this much play. I mean, that's just, that can't be right. So one might say, well, you tightened the, or you pressed the bushings in too far. Well, these bushings are pressed in even. The shoulders sitting flush with the top and bottom side of the arm. So that's what the directions say. But yet it doesn't fit. So I don't know what's going on here, but it's also not the CPP arm issue. This is the original arm. And as far as I can tell, the shoulder here is the same height as the shoulder here. So it doesn't make a difference if I were to use the old one or the new one, just for argument's sake. I'll assemble everything on the old one. Bearing, arm, bearing, rubber washer, cupped washer, flat washer, and nut. Again, tighten it down. Still, tons of slop. Now I know that there's no way that that's the way that Dan Chuck designed this. So I don't know what's going on here, but I've got old and new and neither fit correctly. So take the new one, reassemble it. This time I'm going to pack everything with grease because I'm putting this back on the car so that I can keep moving forward. So I'm working the grease inside the groove where you can see the bearings, the ball bearings themselves. Make sure the grease actually gets up inside there. Otherwise it'd be pointless to put grease in here. Get an itch. The arm. So we got this, the arm goes this way. Now, I'm gonna put some grease in the shaft as well. You know, there really shouldn't be any any friction here. There obviously is because it's binding a little, so pack a little bit of grease down in here too. Slip that bad boy on. And we'll take the other bearing, pack it with grease. And we got the rubber washer. Just doesn't want to go on much easier even with the grease. Actually, it makes it even harder to get on. It doesn't want to stay. All right. Cupped washer. And again, I'm putting my extra washer on. And I'm debating whether or not I should put a second washer on. Probably not. What I'll do is this. And can I use an old? Yes. Okay. And this should raise the castle nut. I have the original, well, the way it's documented up to here. Put an additional washer in between the tanged washer and the nut, and then put an additional tang washer on top of the one provided with the kit. And actually, now that I think about it, I didn't have to go that far. In other words, I didn't have to reuse an old one. They do provide a flat washer, pretty thick one, with the kit, so I'll use that. So now, once I bolt this into the car, I'll be able to torque it down, and the cotter pin will actually go through the castellated nut now. So, oh, also, no more slop this way. So, I am content with this. Just make sure this is right. And it is. All right, so in order to get the upper bolt in for the eye door on, I'd take a screwdriver and pry this piece of rubber back, slip the bolt in under it. Put the nuts on. I think these are 9/16, I think. Let's see. Yes. Get this out of the way. All right, that's good. That's good. All right, now the directions say to torque that down between 10 and 14 foot-pounds. So I'll tighten it down to 13. It's about the lowest my torque wrench will go. Okay. And back off just a hair so the cotter pin lines up. All right, cotter pin lines up. And I'm only going to bend this out a little bit so it doesn't fall out. All right, that should be good enough for now. So it feels pretty good. It's rigid, but yet rotates nicely, except for where it binds, which is right in here. Short one will go in the front. Now, I'm only going to snug these finger tight so far because I want to make sure that the rotor clears these big hex heads. Let's make sure before we tighten anything down. Put some lugs on here. Good. That's good. All right, no rubbing, or no grinding. Actually, there's plenty of room back here. I'm surprised. I thought it would be tighter. All right, so my battery's about to die. So this is what I was concerned about back here. Just enough clearance. Well, I say just enough. It's maybe 3/16. And I can't really see. I'm looking through the camera. Looks to be about the same on this side. So I think we're good. Wow, much tighter over here. Not a big fan of that. Bolt head's right up in here. I mean, it's clearing. That's all that matters. I took down the bolts, holding on the steering arm. Cotter pins are in. That's a pretty good fit. Put the rotor back on. And again, temporarily, gotta put this monstrous spacer back on. So again, this is all just for mock-up. Make sure that all the suspension components clear each other, the frame, etc. And to make sure I get the right size wheels. And as of yet, I haven't tried starting the motor yet, so it's not like this is going anywhere anytime soon. So going to put together the tie rod ends, tie rod sleeves. So for the time being, just to get me in the ballpark, I'm going to use the old tie rod end and tie rod sleeve, just as a guide to get me started. Obviously we'll need to do an alignment later, but this should get me close enough for the time being. All right, so here's the old one. And pretty close, I would say. Take this one out a little more. Maybe a little more. All right, that looks pretty good. So, with that in place, I'll tighten these down. I think these were roughly 90 degrees apart. That there's pretty good. All right, so I'll put this guy in So this guy should fit up in here like so. Nope. Let's try 11/16. Elbow cam. All right. Let's see. Do we line up? I think we do. It's good enough. Just bend that up for now. I'll probably cut myself a dozen times. So let's fold it over. That's cool. And I'll just do the same on the other side. Now, I wonder if I can get the center link in. This one might fit. Let's try this guy. Slide that in there. This will be a lot easier with a third hand. Seam it's out. Yep. All right, bushing is out. So, out with the old and in with the new. Boy, that feels tight. Be interesting to see how this goes. Two sockets. That's the one we want. Get that centered. Okay. Yeah, as far as it's going to go. Actually, that's really good. Okay, cool. Grab the other one. And there goes our light. Okay. I think we're good. Yep, that looks pretty good too. But what matters most is whether or not it lines up. All right. So let's try to put this in the car. Y'all just gonna have to look at my mug for a minute. Sure, put the right side on the right side. Move that out. Move that out. All right. Tie rods in. That nut. Tie rods in. Alrighty. Now should lift up and over. Just give it a test fit for now. Okay, so far so good. I have my doubts about this pitman arm. Grab the light. Take this guy out. Slide this stuff out. Just assume the other side is in correctly. And let off the steering shaft. I don't think that's going to line up just yet, but put all this in. Well, let's see. I think the wheel is centered. I should put this somewhere around here. Yeah. Okay. I think that's good. That's cool. I wonder if I can get this to slide up and over. There we go. Bring it back. Okay. And then put the rest of this center link stuff back in. Okay, it's cool. I don't think we're over enough yet. Yips. Alright. Here's what we got so far. No, that's me. This is what we got so far. Super broke in the way. Alright, so this is what we've got so far. Tie rod ends, sleeves, idler arm, center link, pitman arm, tie rod ends again onto the steering arms. So we've got a complete steering system. Let's finish putting the steering components back together. Can I get... I don't want to put the pitman arm in yet because I don't have everything greased up inside. Well, I guess if I had any sense, I'd just grease the damn thing up. All right, so shifting over to the pitman arm, I'm going to assemble it, I hope. I mean, I think this is one of those things where it may not be possible to have too much grease, but try not to make a mess too. Two or either? Either? Yeah, you get the point. All right, so I'm going to put on a little dust cover. Looks good. Grease up the ball of the pitman arm. now, try to line everything up and slide it all together. That side's on. Out the idler. And come on. Trying to get the idler arm back in. Angles are way off for some reason. Problem solved. All right, that looks good. Finish up this side. There's just way too much slop down here. I'd expect this to be tighter. Will this come any tighter? No. And that's all she's got. I mean, this is just way too loose. That's a horrible fit. Can't possibly be right. But I can't get the ball up inside any further. See if this will help any. No. Is that really the way it's going to sit? That's horrible. No way that's right. I mean, that ball is fully seated. It can't possibly go up any higher. So these are all CPP components. This actually came as a kit in one box. And there's no way you're telling me that this is how it's supposed to fit together. Can't possibly be. I mean, it could if it was just shitty quality. But, I mean, that's up. It cannot physically go any higher inside the shaft. And there's all this play. That's not even close to being sealed. So, from what I can tell, looking online and seeing what other folks have done, this is just a bad fit. So, once again, with this cheap Chinese shit, things just don't fit the way they're supposed to. And again, this is all from the same company. This came as a full kit. I got the center link, the idler arm, and the pitman arm all come together as a single kit in a box, and the shit don't fit together. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Pardon the rant, but, you know. The problem is you can't get Dan truck parts because nobody has them in stock. So the only other company left really that makes this stuff is CPP, and all their shit's made in China. So, you know, the pickings are kind of slim. And that's in all the way. It's not, and again with this sloppy shit. So, I mean, do they not even try to put this stuff together before they ship it out when they design it? What a piece of shit. I mean, look, I'll be happy to eat crow if I'm wrong, but this just does not look like it's going to work. I mean, this is still flopping around. All right, well, I got it in, and all fine and dandy, but this dust cover, again, is just, it's useless. All right, so let me show you what I'm looking at here. Where am I going to put the light? All right, so this is what I'm ranting about. So this is in, it's tightened all the way, and you know, this is pointless. What's this going to do? Nothing. It's just going to rattle. So obviously I'm going to have to revisit this later. I just need to get it together for now. I may have painted myself into a corner here, trying to get the Pitman arm back on now. Will it line up? Probably not. Hopes aren't that high. Now, this would have been a lot easier if I'd put the Pitman arm on the gearbox first. But that would be too easy. Anybody could do that. Okay. All the way over, it's hitting the bump stop. That's good. Let's go the other way. Okay, and that's maxed out. That should be hitting the bump stop on the other side. I'll call it a bump stop. I don't know what it is, but the stop's in the steering arm. All right. So far, so good. Let's center the wheel. The way this is supposed to work is torque the crap out of this nut. I have to see what size it is. Torque that down real good with an impact. Take it off and then put the lock washer on. Torque it down again. Now it would seem that these bastards switched to metric because 1 5/16 fit. The old nut if I could find it. So what I'm saying is, I might have to use my old one. Yep. All right, so old nut, 1 5/16 inch, perfect fit. New nut, 1 5/16 inch, no dice. See, no bueno. So I'm gonna have to go out and buy a socket just to fit this because it's metric. Or should I use the old nut? The old nut fit. No. All right. So the damn threads are different too. So it looks like I don't have a choice but to stop everything I'm doing right now and go out and buy a damn socket because CPP, you know, their shit's made in China. The damn nuts in metric. Hey, in case you can't figure it out yet, I would not advise getting this kit. You know, you get dangly shit like this. Have the bad shaft on the idler arm didn't fit the bearings, and you know the nut's metric. I mean that in and of itself isn't a big deal, I guess, but you know, come on. Everything on these cars is standard. That's something they should know. All right. I can put this on temporarily. Just so it doesn't fall off. I don't know how to tell if it's the case or not, but it's difficult knowing when this is tight and versus over tight. All right, I'm done. Phone's ringing. I gotta get a socket.